one for round two there. Well. Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. I know it's just a regular Krown channel. I guess it's the Krown channel now. Anyways, we've gone through many renditions of this over the time. It is still indeed the cave in spirit. I'm a little bit lacking enough sleep of last night as well, but it's okay. We will persevere on. Many more important things to be getting into today. We got Bitcoin rallying back up above 70,000 bucks. Not for long though. In fact, we'll go over exactly why Bitcoin as of current is rejecting from the exact place you wouldn't want to see if it is indeed bullish. But hey, I guess still a long day left to go, so there's still a little bit of hoping. But hey, keep in mind, quarterly time frame looks like this, and we only got 8.5 days left to go in this quarter. I mean, realistically, it's, well, actually, no, it would be next week, huh? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Next. Yeah, I guess we get the first of April on next Wednesday. Okay, fair enough. All right, well, whatever. Anyways, soon enough, a little bit over a week, indeed, we will have the quarterly close. Again, I stick with what I've been saying. I think that we've seen the lows for this quarter. And in terms of highs, I mean, it's just range bound. There's nothing super interesting going on over here for Bitcoin. There's a few things that could happen today that, you know, could obviously flip around the short-term look, but ultimately, as it stands right now, I think we're in a waiting pattern. We're in a major waiting pattern, waiting for the month end, waiting for the new quarter to begin, looking at other markets as well. We'll go over SPY, we'll go over gold, we'll go over maybe, I actually haven't even really looked at crude light today. Let's see what this one's looking like as of right now. Oh shit, came down to 90 bucks. God damn, man. All right, looks like the top call is holding at least for now, but I'm still actually, while it has come down and obviously is, you know, conducive towards that macro high still being in, but I don't have the confirmation that I'm looking for just yet. It needs to come back down below last Tuesday's low, or sorry, maybe not last Tuesday's low. It's Tuesday, the 10th of March's low. So that maybe it was like 2 Tuesdays ago. But hey, you know, it's getting closer. And of course, just not continuing to the upside is kind of a signal in and of itself right here. But still, a little bit of hoping right there. Obviously, gold is playing out the top call that we've been looking at for quite some time on this channel. Again, its first major bounce off of that 200-moving average right here at 4,100 or so. And a pretty epic bounce, to be fair, you know, a pretty epic bounce. But I feel extremely confident now that, yes, indeed, the macro highs are in. I mean, look at the monthly as it stands. It will be potentially a bearish engulfing dildo if gold ends anywhere below 44.02. I think there's a good probability of that by end of next week. But more importantly, no matter which way you cut this, unless this thing really rallies up significantly back above like 4,800, the quarterly is going to look something like this. One major, massive macro, massive shooting star dildo in which we have the highest levels of volume that you've ever seen in gold ever on a very high term time frame, on bearish divergence, on this, on that, on the highest levels of volatility that we've seen since 1970s. I mean, for fuck's sake, man, like there's never been a more obvious signal. No, there have been more obvious signals, but this one's pretty fucking obvious. I made some very mean tweets. Well, I made some maybe aggressive tweets about this about a month and a half ago saying, if this doesn't look like a high to you, go fuck yourself. Well, little bit of fun in that, but yeah, you know, I still stick with that. And while it has taken some time to come down, you know, it is finally happening and we are getting our first bounce in this one. And I do think that the bounce can carry on a little bit more. I mean, shit, this could easily bounce up to 4,600 if it wants to. It doesn't really change anything here. You know, this one is really looking like a major macro change of behavior. And it's the same shit that you've seen in Bitcoin. It's the same thing that you've seen in all of these hype assets. It really is no difference. Human psychology is consistent because humans are, we're all dealing with the same machinery, basically. Yes, people have different IQ levels and that makes some sort of differences, but as a whole, you know, we kind of move in these very repeatable fashions, and the human emotions are what relates all of us together. That is the human experience. You saw the same thing in Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was topping out at whatever the fuck, you know, everyone's calling for 200,000, 300,000, whatever, you know, in previous cycles, when Bitcoin got to 70,000 bucks for the first time, people are calling for 100,000 bucks and telling you why you're stupid if you don't think that that's going to happen, even though it just came down, you know, 10,000, 20,000 bucks. Same thing in 2017, 2018, Bitcoin rallies for 20,000 bucks, you know, first pullback. It's like, oh guys, everything's fine. It's going to be back at 33,000 bucks by July. No problem. Of course, what happens, you know, same sort of dynamics here. And what happened with gold when it approached 6,000 bucks? Oh, it's going to 10,000. But guys, this is just a short-term pullback, okay? Just some games. The fundamentals haven't changed. Ah, yes, the fundamentals haven't changed. But apparently, the technicals have. And guess what? The technicals do fucking matter. In fact, they do matter more for especially short and medium term when it comes down to things. and even, the long term as well, because trend is your friend. Now, I'm not saying gold's bad long term. I'm going to be looking to pick up some gold, but that might take like 5 years to really occur. I want to see it base out again, because in in previous cycles, we've seen gold really spend a lot of time in that accumulation phase. I mean, multiple years, not just multiple years in some cases, I mean, decades. I mean, especially coming off of the 1980 high right here. This one took about 20, 25 years before it got going again. And then even more recently, from the previous high in 2011, 2012. This one really didn't start to get going until 2020 to 2021, and even before that, back way on over here in in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, this thing was flat as fuck for like 2 decades almost, from 1940 to 1960. So my point is that these things do repeat, and we're seeing it once again. And as usual, around the highs, you get these people who, probably just came into markets relatively recently. They've been reading all of the stuff that sounds right. It sounds high consciousness. It sounds like it's very, 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 very well thought out. But at the end of the day, what actually matters? What actually fucking matters is what price is doing, because price is the most pure form of analysis. The fundamentals, you're right, they haven't changed. And guess what? For Bitcoin, it hasn't changed either. But price can come down 50%, as we've seen for Bitcoin, and the fundamentals more or less haven't changed. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're looking at that, good fucking luck, because you're going to be on the wrong side of things as usual. And it's the same thing as these fucking, these fundamental, these on-chain guys. It's all the same shit. It doesn't tell you to switch around your opinion until well after the fact, usually until, when things are actually ending. We saw the exact fucking same thing here, man. We saw the exact same thing. And silver is no different. Obviously, silver is actually a lot weaker in this case, or at least I would imagine it is. I haven't actually checked it out today, so maybe it proved me wrong. Nope, indeed it is weaker. You can see that quarterly ending on one massive, massive, massive shooting star deal right there. Again, heaviest volume that we've seen ever, alongside heavy volatility, alongside some of the highest RSI levels as well. But that will be on bearish divergence, I should add here too. These are long-term macro highs that are going to take multiple years to work off, maybe longer. I mean, these are assets that have significant market caps in comparison to Bitcoin, so they just naturally take a lot longer for them to play out. Whereas Bitcoin, kind of, we're a little bit spoiled. Like, cycles typically play out in like 4 to 5 year segments, or at least they have been, and they so far have continued to do so. And that's about a fraction, about half to a third of what you typically get in traditional markets. Just a lot longer. It's a lot longer. By the way, I just bought a new gaming computer. I'm waiting for it to come, but I'm now looking at games. I just saw this game, Arma Reforged, Arma whatever the fuck. Looks amazing. I want to get into that. Apply all of my fucking autism directly to that. And then, what was it? Hell Let Loose also looked pretty cool. I think Battlefield 6 looks okay, but I don't know. I've heard a lot of bad things. And, Battlefield's what? It's probably like Call of Duty now too. Anyways, Bill Norblatt says, my father-in-law was told me, I guess, or maybe he was told it was going to go to 50,000. That's right. It's going to 50,000. Does he mean Bitcoin, or does he mean gold? Maybe over a long enough period of time, gold could get there. I mean, shit, there's not like a humongous reason why it wouldn't versus the dollar. Because at some point, the dollar does devalue all the time. It's literally by, how it's designed. But I mean, maybe that gets expedited, if the US dollar loses its world reserve currency status, then of course gold's going to gain significant values versus the dollar. But I don't know, man. That's probably late in our lifetimes, if not after our lifetime. So who gives a fuck, man? Just bought Crimson Desert. I've heard really good things about that as well, man. I've heard it is like the next big thing, but I don't know if I can get into another RPG. It consumes my life. So I need these FPSs so that I can just do stupid doo-doo dumb stuff and just get in and out, curtail my gaming so that it doesn't take 10 hours per day, because I really do get very, 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 very much caught up with it, man. I just have an addictive personality. It is what it is, man. Twitch stream like the good old days. Oh man, I am actually really much looking forward to that. I'm slowly building out my downstairs studio so that I can do exactly that. We can do some Twitch gaming, we can do some chart watching. I mean, it's kind of one and the same right now, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing long term anyways. So it's like I always got my eye on the chart. But when you're looking at weekly charts, you really don't get updates too often. 7 days for one fucking bar. So yeah, man, a lot of time to do other things, which is kind of nice, actually, which is kind of nice indeed. In 2 weeks, you'll never hear another word about Crimson Desert. Fair enough. I've been out of the game for a while. But yeah, man, I'm looking at Arma looks pretty fucking cool. I saw that there's a mod that looks exactly like Russia versus Ukraine right now. And maybe it's maybe it's done in very bad taste. but I really want to see that. I really fucking want to see that. Lies of P. I'd probably love that game. I think it's like a Dark Souls type game, and I love Dark Souls. I absolutely love Dark Souls. But yeah, let's get through Bitcoin here, or actually, let's go over to traditional markets first. Traditional markets led by SPY did have a pretty epic bounce to start off today. However, it is fading already, a rejection of the 21 as it stands right now. Again, it's a long day left to go, but here's the thing, and we'll have the same sort of potential hopium for Bitcoin here too. But if SPY can really reclaim that 200 simple on a daily closing basis, I would say there is a strong probability of real hopium here. Still, however, in order to really confirm hopium for not Bitcoin, but SPY, it would need to come back up above and close above last week's high of 68.14, the price action pivot right here. If it can do that, I will turn into an instant bull, like the fucking spray, instant bull, you know. What was that guy's name who used to shill stuff on commercials? Something Vase, no, not Tone Vase, but Billy Mays. But wait, there's more. The bull market's back. Instant bull has taken care of everything right now. Yeah, you know, that's still the line in the sand for me. It is not going to move to this week's high just yet. Of course, I do want to acknowledge that there are some good reasons to potentially be looking for the next major low here. At least this would be like the next sort of hopium level. And that's just because we've seen that full correction down now to the green 55 EMA on the weekly time frame. So that was a corrective target for us based off of that cross between the red and the yellow and just the breakdown that we saw in early March. So that has now been hit. Bounce has been had. The question is, can that bounce reclaim that very specific number of 68.14? If it can, okay. Instant bull. Until then, this does still kind of look like it's in jeopardy of rolling over. Looking at the monthly right here as well, not amazing. You know, I kind of have to be biased towards another step down if things end out at if things close out in March, you know, kind of here or lower. I would be biased towards another step down. You know, they're like 5% down or so to about 63 or 6200, something like that. But yeah, and then of course the quarterly as well. You know, this one's still kind of inching its way up. This also provides a little bit of hopium, just because the way that I read this right now is, as long as you're above that red 5 EMA on the quarterly time frame, just let it do its thing. Just let it float, just like you saw right here. It can go on for a very long time. Same thing over here. Less of an extent to right here. Same thing over here, though. Same thing over here. Remember, these are quarterly, so these are multiple years in a row of just straight trending. And so I don't want to get super bearish as long as it's above there. Now, it's been above that red 5 EMA and using it to base off of for a while, I guess, with the most recent test down to the 21 over here, but it never really spent time below. So a couple ways of looking at that, obviously, but I would say just in general, as long as you're holding up above this on this quarter, I really want to keep open the possibility of a reversal here. Again, for me, not confirmed until you're back above last week's high of 68.14. At that point, instant bullish, fucking instant bullish, baby. Anyways, go over to Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, a lot of things going on actually. So early morning, really good rally, obviously, but it is getting rejected at precisely the area that you don't want to see if you do want to kind of flip around to be bullish. So we'll go over exactly what that means actually just right now. Let's go over right now. Let's do it right now, huh? All right, so here is the Rev and Ribbons. Rev and Ribbons have been keeping us, on the right side of price action for a long time now. It's just a beautiful indicator at this point, and honestly, you can summarize my daily analysis pretty much into this indicator at this moment. And by the way, there's a major update coming for this. In about a month from now, I'll give you a sneak peek to it as well. The people who own the Rev and Ribbons are going to get a fucking crazy script. But in this case, the daily time frame is still using the mid band to sell off from. So as long as the daily's below there, I can't be looking for a reversal here. It's like SPY below 68.14. That is my line in the sand. It's been the same line in the sand. It's been generally correct. And as long as it's below there, we should be looking for another walk down on the lower band, this green dotted line right here, which is currently at about $66,000. So again, as long as you're below that mid band, I'm generally biased towards here. In fact, the Rev and Ribbons is giving a short-term target all the way down here to the lows. I don't know if I agree with that as of this moment. But hey, just downside is the bias as long as you're below there. So while this morning's rally was nice, and at one point was even a bullish engulfing dildo, I believe, at least on CME, it needs to finish the day above there. So that number for the Rev and Ribbons is 71,144. 71,144. As long as Bitcoin's below there, downside buys. reclaiming that on a daily closing basis in the next day or two. I would say definitely no later than Wednesday, but hopefully today, honestly, and realistically tomorrow's like even pushing it already. If it can reclaim that, then I would be looking for another retest of the March 16th high at about 75,000 bucks. That would be in the cards, and maybe even a potential major reversal could be called, because this would be another higher low. You'd have low, you'd have high, you'd have higher low, higher high, higher low yet again. But you'd really expect things to continue up from here. Honestly, tomorrow is even pushing it at this point. On top of that, when we go over to actually I should go over this too. MetaSignal did fire off a setup on the 4-hour time frame. This was when price was trading at 70,100. First target was 71,400. That one's already been hit, obviously. Second target is going to be 74,866. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we can have a direct probability for that target in the next about 19-ish bars, I believe, and that is going to be just under 59%. So better than a coin flips toss here. So I would give Bitcoin I'd give it the respect, I guess. I don't know what the right word. I'd just be mindful that, hey, this pivot right here does matter a lot. Above there, you got another $3,000 or so move to the upside, with potential for more. I mean, that could really lead into a major, a major reversal, but it really hinges upon Bitcoin's ability to get above there. Now, to be fair, there is a better than a coin flips probability to do that. And within about 19 to 18 bars on a 4-hour time frame, that's like, I don't know, 60, 70 hours. So within the next 2 to 3 days, I would say that needs to happen like sooner rather than later, honestly. But hey, do as you will, I suppose. On top of that, we still have this setup over here. Remember this setup between the red 5 EMA crossing to the upside of the yellow 21 EMA on CME. The minimum target for that is a corrective target, and it's that 55 EMA right here, the green moving average. That still has not been hit. Even though Bitcoin got very close to it last Tuesday on this rally up to $76,000 plus, it did not officially hit there. So I do think that this is also worth mentioning as well, because if Bitcoin can reclaim that number, that 71,150, which, by the way, is pretty much right where the yellow 21 EMA is on CME right now as well. A little bit lower than that, to be fair, but kind of around the same area at 71,100. Then yes, I do think Bitcoin has another, march up to last week's high. Last week's high plays out the MetaSignal's setup over here, and so on and so forth. Now, would Bitcoin still realistically be range bound? Yeah, it would be. But this would really start to look like a major low forming with several higher lows along the way, which is a really, 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 really good sign. It's just, I would say it's still going to be a lot of waiting time. We still probably got another month or two doing, this sort of sideways dance, but that would be very confidence inducing that this is actually putting in potentially a macro low here. But for right now, like I said, it all hinges upon Bitcoin's ability to get back above that midband, 71,144 or just 71,150 on a daily closing basis. Hopefully today, I would say really latest, honestly, is tomorrow. I would kind of rule out Wednesday. Like if Bitcoin's still living below there on Wednesday, I think just it is downside. And this is a downside bias, again, as long as it is below that midband. But yeah, there's a little bit of hope in the background, I suppose. Other than that, not the Reverend Ribbons, but the quantum wave bands over here starting to claw their way back, which is actually quite nice. And then, of course, I should let you know, give you a quick insight to the Reverend Ribbons holders. So the Reverend Ribbon holders are going to get access to this script, let's say in about a month. We want to test it out a little bit more. I want to get my own eyes on it a little bit better as well. But it's basically just putting a script on the Reverend Ribbons and kind of scalping it in the way that I have been suggesting on these videos. He's also kind of applying his own, his own magic formula here too. But I think the results speak for themselves, and it'll just be a nice addition for the people who have the Reverend Ribbons. You don't need to follow that if you don't want to. You can just use this in whatever unique way that you see fit. But if you do want kind of like a guidance on a strategy, this would be a good one right here. I do, at least in my opinion. I mean, look at the fucking equity curve, right? Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for what I wanted to speak about. Oh, maybe a quick update on my options position. So my options positions are going to be expiring at the end of this week on the 27th. So that would be this Friday. I am still holding on to all these positions, of which, oh God. Hey, what did I? Oh, herpity derp. All right. I derped it up here for whatever reason. Oh shit. That's cool. Oh, I didn't know that you could do that. Oh, that's awesome. Hold on. Okay, let me put back on this spread over here, because for whatever reason, it got rid of my long put. Very bad. I mean, how much should I, or no, it's not this one. It was the 59, it's $59,000 put strike on the 27th. Yep, we're there. Whoops, went a little bit too far. There we go. It was 10 times. I definitely bought that for more than 75 bucks. It was more like 400 bucks, I believe, but oh well, it's the best that we can do because apparently I've done goofed once again. But anyways, this position very likely going to pull in maximum profit, assuming that Bitcoin just remains above 61,000 bucks by end of this week. I will hold this position. I will only manage on this position by shorting if Bitcoin comes down below $63,000. Before it was 66,000 bucks. However, I personally don't need to be as aggressive any longer because this is now a race against time rather than, a price point, in my opinion, because I don't really want to be left over with a big short position if this one does start to go in the money. So I'll wait for 63 rather than 66 at this point because time is now very much on my side. At each and every moment that ticks by, this position comes closer and closer to bringing the full profit home. I do have that short call spread as well. That's a $75,000 versus $77,000 call strike. I will cover this one too if Bitcoin trades above about 74,500 before Friday. But same thing here. It's a race against time. Both of these short strikes will expire on March 27th, and then I'll be looking for the next position. But this one should have a maximum profit about 19,000 bucks. So, it should be 19 plus about almost 40 right there. So close to 60,000 bucks, doing some bad mental math. Assuming that Bitcoin basically closes below $75,000 and above $61,000 by the end of this Friday. And that is the beauty of options. You don't really need to pick a direction. In fact, you can get paid to sit on your fucking ass doing nothing, just watching price, hopefully doing your option strategies properly. But I should let you know, I am going to be releasing the Options 101 playlist 100% for free. I think I'll do it next week. I went super ham on it this past weekend. I've like full autism when it comes to options, and I love it so much. Like I couldn't stop. Like I was just a full work mode on Saturday. I had nothing else to do, so I went balls to the walls, just only options. And I pretty much got everything done. I got all of the quizzes done. I even added another video. I might end up adding one more video. I'm not sure. Like I don't know if it's just my tism speaking right there, but I'm not sure if it's needed. It might be needed, might not be needed. But anyways, I think I'll do a soft launch for Teachable only next week. And then we'll do some YouTube drip, I don't know, in like a month or so from now once the TA program's done. But I'm really, really excited about it. In my opinion, options are just the way. Again, this is going to be 100% free. And honestly, if you understand the shit in this Options 101 playlist, if you truly understand it, you don't need anything else, to be quite frank with you. If you understand covers, spreads, strangles, straddles, and callers to a lesser extent, although that's still kind of, it's just a combination of the other things anyways. You understand everything when it comes to options. The most important point is to understand when to do those things. But anyways, I'll let that speak for itself. And we'll go from there. Anyways, let me get over to the super chats. I've been rambling on for much too long now. My apologies. Whoa, some really long emails as well. So I will have to deal with that later. Don't think I can do that right now. Let's see. Diego Morim is first. He's looking at EXSA. EXSA. It's a European shitcoin stock. All right. EXSA. All right. Europe 600. Okay. Must be great. The Europe capital markets, as everyone knows, is amazing. Look, similar to SPY, I do think that you're having a nice bounce off this. And this actually does look like it could potentially be the next major high or low. It's kind of where you expect it around. It's hovering around that green 55 EMA on the weekly. You're going to have hidden bullish evidence on the weekly RSI as well. That's going to be possible. Yes, volatility is high, so you should get a corrected bounce regardless. So next move should be a bounce, like a decent bounce. I imagine probably back to like 59.5, 60 bucks. The question is, does it fail there or not? But I do think your next move is to the upside from here. Is the low in? Your short-term low absolutely is in. Yes. I would be counting on this as a short-term low. Super easy to manage as well, because if it just comes back down below 55.5, get the fuck out, right? That would be wrong. Always need invalidation. But in this case, I think that you're getting poised for a move up to like 59 to 60 bucks, somewhere in that pocket there. So it's definitely a low. And I think that you can treat it as the next macro low. Basically using this as the pivot. Of course, it's going to matter whatever, U.S. traditional markets do. But this one, I mean, look, it's not terrible here. Coming into the end of this quarter, maybe I changed my opinion on that because this actually might be one massive shooting star dildo. Let's see. Not great. No, it's not great. But look, I do think you're going to get a bounce here. I would also go as far to say, if you do come back down in April below this 55.39 low, it's over for a while, man. Let this thing come down to a 4 handle at that point. But for right now, give it a chance. If you see that bounce before end of week here, I think that there's a real, hopium case for this thing, having the next macro low in. So basically what I'm saying is, if you see that rally to $60 before the end of this month, I think it's relevant to have some hopium for the next macro higher low. Until then, there's some concerning things here for sure. Anyways, moving on, we got Lutfi Muradova next. She says, hello, sir. Check out hype on the 4-hour daily weekly. Sure. Time to long it. I don't know. I remember last week it looked pretty good, but let's see how it's done over the weekends. You never know with these shitcoins, like they can turn at a moment's notice. So what is hype doing? Is it still acting as one of the better ones? It's time to long it. I don't know if it's time to long it right now. I do think it's going to be caught in some sort of a range. Like, hold on, let me do like the higher term time frame range here. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? Loud crashing noise somewhere. Hopefully not in this house. I do think you're going to spend some time kind of filling out this, this sideways area right here. How far does it come down? I think at some point you probably do get a test to the 200 simple and the green 55 EMA when they start to cross. So like it might look something like this. You got a short-term rally, okay, followed by this. These things start to cross, like it's kind of like drawing it out somewhere around here. Probably test into it there. That's where I'd be looking for a higher low if it is really going to try that upside breakout. Looking at the monthly, is this thing ready to break out? No, this is range bound. It's sold off in the exact area you'd be expecting if it is range bound right now. But there is, I do think there is merit to looking for a long position here after this next correction. But you literally just hit the range high, so I would not be chomping at the bit to get in a long trade here, expecting like a breakout above last week's high. Assuming that's what you're looking for, based off of the timeframes you were looking at, maybe that was, maybe that's not. You're on the 4 hour, so. 4 hour, I guess, would be less so. But daily and weekly, yeah, I'd be inclined to say probably thinking the right way. I just think it's going to come down. You get a better entry later on. I don't think it's a rush to get into it right here. You're basically just pulling back from that exact same place that you sold off from in October of 2025. I think it's going to take some time. Anyways, Pizza says, hey, Krown, now where for XRP? I don't know. Let's check it out. Yeah, still kind of filling out these lows as well. It's the same thing to Bitcoin to me, man. This one actually in slightly a better posturing in the short term than Bitcoin. You got a nice bullish engulfing dildo in the short term, assuming that this thing finishes the day above 142.60. If that happens, I'd be looking for another test up here to the green 55 EMA, 150. I don't know if that's the sort of timeframes that you're looking at, man. Usually from what I remember, you're kind of more short-term timeframes. So if that happens, yeah, I'd be expecting that move, but that's a short-term move. Do I think things are going to, evolve for like a big breakout move from here? Not in the short term yet. No, not in the short term yet, but I do think that you found the lows. Maybe in April you try 120 again, but I don't think it's going to break on the next test or anything like this. This should be a basing point for a while, similar to Bitcoin, dancing along that green 55 EMA on a very high term time frame like the monthly. These things, if they are going to break, it's going to take a long time, typically speaking. And in the short term, I think you got a short-term upside move, especially pending this. And if you do not close above that $142.50 high, I guess at that point, I look for a return to the range lows. But again, I wouldn't be looking for breaking the range lows, at least not yet. If that's going to happen, that's like a further down the road type thing. That's a problem for later. It's a problem for later, I guess. But again, going off of the quarterly right here, like coming off of the 21 EMA, I'm just, even if you are going to break it later on, it's probably going to take its time, man. Anyways, you want to look at, you wanted to look at XRP versus Bitcoin. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe better, maybe not. I guess we'll never know until we look at it, in which case, weird looking chart here. I don't like charts like this. Just a weird looking chart to me. I don't see any obvious signals either which way. If anything, it's in a downtrend on the daily, so I'd be following that. But yeah, I don't feel strongly about this either which way. If I had to call it, I'd call it back down to these lows from March. But yeah. I think the more interesting stuff is happening on the dollar chart, because that actually could be in the process of putting in the next macro low. I think it's very possible right there. Straight passives. GM, sir, what's up, man? Can we take a look at IREN daily weekly? Gotcha. Okay, IREN. There we go. Beautiful. He said it's completely free anyways. What about it? What about it? Hopefully it's better than the... Well, fair enough, man. Yes, it is indeed free. You can see for yourself, but I think it will be. I think it will be probably what you're looking for. A little bit rude, but hey, fair enough. You are entitled to your opinion. Anyways, IREN over here. Let's see what this one's doing. Short term, again, kind of ranging in this area. I think that next move is actually to the downside on this one. Just more downside signals in the short term, but is it going to break down below the lows of 2025? Or sorry, not the lows of 2025, but these lows here from December of 2025, don't think so, man. I think that you're coming back down around those lows, probably going to base around there again. We're kind of seeing a lot of the same things across the markets. Similar in a way with these things kind of basing. I'd only get bearish on it if it really starts to close below that 33 and 30 cent low right there. Until then, it's like, yeah, it's going to probably fill this area out. It is a downtrend, it's a fucking downtrend. Still the LARP lines, but probably bounces again. Holding this area between 58.5 versus 33 and a third is generally going to be good, man. It's generally going to be good. So yeah. Anyways, and then you're back in. You're looking at CLSK on the weekly. Okay, fair enough. CLSK. All right, clean spark. Well, I do see some daily hidden bearish divergence right there. So kind of the same thing as the last few ones, man. It's like ranging on the lows. I think these LARP lines are still more or less directionally correct, man. Oops, just drawing fucking lines there, huh? Anyways, let's see. I don't know. This one's a little bit more likely to bounce. From that $9 number again. Is it going to hit $9 again, though? I guess it'd be biased towards it. Got to follow the signals right there. It's not a super strong hidden bearish divergence signal, but it is present. So, maybe one more run at $9 even, but I do think you're going to bounce again. It's not necessarily, it's certainly not, certainly not fully bullish. Not really bearish as well, just kind of sideways here for a while, man. I don't think that you're ready to break down below $9 and certainly not ready to break out above your 2025 October highs as well. So if I had to call it, return to the lows at $9, but bounce again, and carry on sideways. I just don't think that this is a good, long-term investment right now, because it's not moving. The opportunity cost of being in something like this, which technically isn't a long-term macro downtrend, is massively superseded by, the plethora of things that are just not doing shit like this. So yeah, man, but look, at the end of the day, it's your money. But in my opinion, this is an investment. It's a bad investment. It's just a bad investment. Anyways, Asian Massage says, thank you. Options were the only thing in your Bible I was after, but I'm not allowed to use PayPal. You can use PayPal, I'm pretty sure. Just contact Elsa. You'll figure something out, man. But yeah, anyways, let's see. Let's go over some... some Gropes gangs. He's looking at NTDO. This is a Nintendo, ain't it? NTDOY. Okay, NTDOY. Yeah, this one trades OTC, which is kind of a surprise. You're saying monthly, I want to build a position to hold for 1 to 2 years. Okay, so very, very clear preference here. Earnings report drops in 50 days. I think it will be a bullish catalyst. Maybe for the long term, but usually, the earnings reports themselves, you can have great earnings and just sell off anyways. It's all about the forwards outlook. Anyways, that's besides the point. I actually like this right here. This would be a higher low. It's on the 55 EMA, so that is very technical. You just put in a major low on extreme volatility. Plus, there is going to be hidden bullish divergence potential here between this point, the low of this month, basically, and April of 2024, and even October of 2024. So looking at this, I think it's completely, look, if I had your preferences, I would be happy to build a position here using very obviously the low of this month at $13 as an invalidation point, and treating this as a next macro low if I wanted to, play the trend and get long for the long term. I think that that's completely fine. If you lose this low, it's not a humongous dump off from where you're at right now. About let's see, how far away exactly is that? It's about 12.5%. Yeah, you're gonna have some risk there for sure. But if this is gonna be a long term thing, you got to give it some room to breathe. Personally, if if I had your preferences, I would think that that's okay. It's an okay setup. It's not guaranteed to work out. That's why you have invalidations. But, you know, we see the things there that we'd expect to see if it is going to be acting or intending to be a next major higher low. Got that potential for hidden bullish divergence, still a higher low on the 55 EMA on extreme volatility, you know, so this should at least have a corrective bounce back up towards, you know, 18, 19, maybe even $20. You know, even if it is super bearish, like it should be a corrective bounce from here for a while. But then, you know, then things can get kind of nasty. Anyways, yeah, I got you, hoy hoy. I got you, man. Yeah, it is what it is, man. Look, you can't make everyone happy. Some people love it, some people hate it. It is what it is, man. People come from different backgrounds after all. Stephen Schickman says, afternoon, GLL, daily, weekly, GLL. Okay, this is your ultra short gold, and it is indeed having that major, massive move above $20 that we were looking for the last few weeks. I thought I was going a little bit fucking crazy on this one, but has indeed happened. Didn't just hit $20, it has exceeded $20 by a good margin. And I do think that just like gold spot is having a bounce right now, you're going to see this one pull back a little bit from that first test into the yellow 21 EMA. Ultimately, this one I do believe does go higher, and you will see it somewhere around like 26 and a quarter, something like that, man. Overall, pretty fucking, pretty poised for a more bigger bounce. Good fucking English, Krown. Yeah, a bigger bounce right here, man. But I'd really be looking at the gold chart. This one is the easier chart to be looking at. Honestly, man, I think if you wanted short exposure, you should just short this rather than play that GLL. But hey, you know, it's your money. Like I said, this chart's a little bit easier right now. And generally, I would be having a, you know, kind of like a strong downside bias on the monthly. Again, that doesn't mean that things can't bounce in the short term and stuff like this. Yes, of course it can. It will. I mean, it is doing it right now. But until at least this thing retests that yellow 21 EMA, I wouldn't be considering that this downside move is over at all. And personally, I think that it will come lower over time. You know, I think that you'll probably see it with a high 2 handle or a very low 3 handle. And that's probably where the next macro low would come in around for gold. That's just my disposition right now. So GLL, does it go up from here or just generally up from here? Probably yes. But like I said, a lot easier to just play this chart right here. So hey, do things as you will, but yeah, that's kind of the issue with that, man. Anyways, going over to SOX, another bear 3x. I just don't understand it, but fair enough. It's this thing bullish right here. It's trying an upside move, obviously. You know, I'm going to take the bitch way out on this one and say support and resistance. You got your price action pivot here at 42.30. You got your support here at 37.01. As long as you're playing between there, no real calls above the 42.30 number. Then at that point, I would be looking for this one to put in a nice move all the way up to like a, you know, low 50s. Until then, like I said, man, it's just so much easier to play like the real thing. So you'd be looking at this. And this one, again, it's so much of an easier chart here. It's like overall, it's actually okay. I just think short term it comes down, retests these lows, and then bounces. Yeah, you know, coming back somewhere down around the March low is completely fine at like 74.50, 7,500, somewhere like that. But there should be another bounce there. Yeah, long term, really, really good. So it's like, you know, do you want to get super, super bullish on stocks? No, not the right call there. Just short-term upside moves. Even then, I mean, the trend is your friend here, and the trend is still very much obviously down. So yeah, it is what it is, man. Anyways. All right. There is no shortage. I'll sell you some, says T tonight. Yeah, exactly. It's a gold shortage. Yeah, it's like, okay, sure, man. It's like the same thing with the fucking illiquid supply guys with Bitcoin. You know, the Bitcoin fundamentals on chain, the on supply bullshit. Like, it doesn't matter, man. At the end of the day, price is pure. Price is the closest you'll ever be to what the fuck's going on. And if the price is doing it, it doesn't matter what the narrative is. It doesn't matter what the fundamentals are. It really doesn't. The price is king. The price is king. Price is king. Anyways, Derek Dombrowski, very nice name. BE stock on the daily and weekly. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, this one's been super popular over the past couple months. I guess I get why. You know, it's had a pretty monumental run, especially starting in April of 2025. Like really nice, nearly a 10x run. Definitely not ready to break out right now. This one, next move to the downside is extremely, extremely likely. It's not bearish. It's just going sideways for a while, and in the short term, filling out this downside range. You know, the downside of the range coming in around about 130 to 131 region. So yeah, you know, overall it is good. Overall, I get it. You know, long term, definitely not going to hit a chart that looks like this, of course. But in the short term, do I think it's ready to, make new highs right now? No, I don't. It had its chance last week if it was going to do it. Didn't take it. In fact, if anything, got distributed on. So I'm more inclined to say this thing comes back down, tries for a higher low around 130 or so. If it breaks below there, I'd be looking at about 112. But I'm basically long-term bullish on this thing, especially as long as you're above your December of 2025 lows. So, it's just a game of finding where the next, higher low is going to be around. Looking at the quarterly, no major issues with this. I just think it's going to be consolidating sideways for a while, and then you get your real try. I would validate an upside breakout. All you have to do is just close above last Friday's high of 169.25. Not saying it's impossible. It's just I think that it corrects more first, perhaps all the way down here to fill the gap at that 112 number that we just gave out. But that would probably be an opportunity. I don't think that this thing is bad long term. Just kind of boring right now. That's all. Anyways, moving on, we got Hal 9000. It says I shorted silver at 93, but closed too conservatively last week at 73. Look, man, I get it. When you see price go more and more in your favor, you always feel like you did a bad job, but you didn't do a bad job, man. You really didn't do a bad job. You shorted 93, you bought 73. I mean, fuck, man, that's more than a 20% move. Like, we are so spoiled with the moves that we get in crypto that we think that these things are just normal all the time elsewhere. No, man, I love what you did there. You got the heart of the move. You got 70% of that move. And then when the money was in your hands, you closed your hands and you took it. Now take that money and run away and just wait for the next obvious major opportunity, because it will come. But right now is not it, man. Yes, you missed out on another $13 or $12 slide to the downside, so another 15% on that move. Look, I get it. It hurts, but you don't need to catch the exact high or the exact low to make money in markets. Don't put that pressure on yourself. It's going to lead you down towards very bad paths long term. It might make you feel good the few times you get it right, but you're going to get it wrong more often than not. You had a great trade. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, man. It's going to very likely bounce up more here. If you want to take another short, you'll get your opportunity, man. You will get your opportunity. But please do not make that mistake. It's very painful. I can assure you from my own history, from the history of many others as well. You don't need to be perfect in this game to make a shit ton of money, to make a living. You don't need to be fucking perfect. You really don't. You really don't. And even then, you had a fucking great trade. Like, God, man, don't do that. Opinion on good probability short entries to catch a drop to $55 or lower. Well, keep in mind that this thing just had a pretty sizable retracement. Just came down about 50%. I think that the downside is over for now. It's over for now. You're going to go into a bounce phase. I think you're probably going to get up to the mid 70s at least, like 75, 76. Maybe if things get really crazy, low 80s. If I was going to reposition, that's probably where I'd do it. Somewhere around the high of the previous Q4 of 2025. That's where I'd be looking, somewhere around there. So low 80s, high 70s, something like that. And then do I think that you have more downside? Yeah, I do agree with you. Yeah, I would probably be looking for like mid to low 50s, something like this. Just like gold, we're on our first quarterly sell-off. Like, it's literally the high on the quarterly. Compare that with other previous highs, how long it comes down for. Like, there's not a rush here. This one took almost 3,200 days. That's like 10 years. That's like 10 fucking years. It doesn't look like anything on the chart, but it is 10 years. This one over here took much longer, in fact. This one over here taking 4,000 days. 4,000, I mean, like what, 12 years? Jesus, man. My point is there's not a humongous rush here. So yeah, let it bounce. If you really feel inclined to take the position again, and you want to milk that rock, go for it. But I feel like you're going to have a better opportunity somewhere else. Like, don't get caught with your pants down, falling in love with these assets, feeling like you need to make up for the move that you missed earlier. It doesn't work like that. That's all in your mind. It's all a phantom of your imagination. That's your ego seeing things through a very distorted lens. No, take that money, go to another asset, find an easier trade. That's my take here, man. Anyways, not your dad. You can do the fuck you want to do, as always. But yeah. Anyways, let's see what else we got. We got Sky Junkie for Life. What's up, man? Been a while. Good afternoon, sir. Would you concur on a long-term low fib target on silver in the 30s and gold possibly 25 to 35? Well, the gold range is absolutely ginormous there. I do think that you probably get a bottom somewhere there. I think it's going to be high 2s or low 3s, personally. For silver, would the fib target be $30? Well, let's see. I would be inclined first to say probably not, just, just by eyeballing it, but let's see. Take the low of the last cycle, and let's actually not do this on log. Oh no, it isn't. Hold on. There we go. Okay. No. I don't see the relevancy of a $30 target, at least not right now. Here's the areas that I'd be looking for on a bounce to the downside. Obviously, you already hit $80, and there was a small bounce there. Then you got 67. Then you got 54. These are the major ones. You kind of already hit these, I guess, though. Yeah. Well, except for 54. But I don't know, man. If you're looking lower right now, kind of like the lowest that I would realistically entertain would, I guess it's not that far away from what you're saying, but it'd be about $35. It's 20%, almost 20% above what you're saying. But mid to upper 30s would be kind of my guess right now. Yeah. But I don't think that that's a move that you're going to see like in the short term, man. This thing just had a really sizable downside move. You're probably going to get April trying to bounce a little bit, and maybe like late April/May, this one tries another downside move. I think $50 is a really good bet. I think even mid to low 40s is a pretty good bet. A 3 handle, I don't think it's going to stay there for that long if it happens. Yeah. Something like that, man. I wouldn't get too carried away with these targets, so I really wouldn't. Anyways, Yarbrook says GIS Weekly. Gotcha, man. GIS. General Mills. Okay. Is this the cereal company? Oh, well. Pretty shitty cereals. But anyways, look, it's probably going to get a pity bounce here just from the very unvirtuous signal of getting back down towards a previous macro low from December 2018. It's not a good sign long-term. Obviously, it's fucking disastrous long-term just even getting down here, but you're probably going to bounce here. You're probably going to try a bounce here. This can take a while. It's basically been straight down since April/July of 2023. So, or it's definitely been straight down since October of 2024. So more than a year of just down, and like big downs. Look, you're going to try a bounce here. I don't think it's going to be reversal. It's just going to be a bounce. How high does it get? I don't know. Maybe mid to low 40s. Long term, does this thing break down? Probably yes. I mean, this chart long term is completely wrecked in my opinion. Good assets don't do shit like this, but it should try a bounce. Long term, does it get down to like $30? Yeah, probably yes. It's only another 25% move from where you're at right now, so who cares, right? Adam Collane says QQQ, triple Qs, rip and dip targets, monthly and quarterly. Okay, let's check it out. As always, full disclosure, I own a lot of triple Qs. And looking at the quarterly right here, or actually looking at the yearly, you could definitely see some downside this year at some point, maybe hitting a low of like 545, 550-ish region, but long term, still like it overall. Still want to be long term. Anyways, if we're on the monthly, rip or dip targets, hard one here. Yeah, I kind of have to take the bitch way out. Obviously, in the short term, you have to go with the trend. The trend is down. And kind of similar to SPY, as long as you're below last week's high, I'm not calling any reversals here. There ain't no rips. There ain't no rips at least worth talking about. Maybe corrected bounces, but not like a rip, right? And last week's high for triple Qs is about 605.90 cents. So as long as you're below there, I'm still looking at this as likely to drag on lower. So I guess I would say dip and probably officially hit that green 55 EMA on the weekly, which is 574, 573 region. 574 to 573. So if I had to call it, it would be a dip. Corrected moves only to the upside as long as you're below about 605 and in 90 cents above there, I would turn instant bullish yet again, instant bullish. But yeah. Anyways, one moment as I take another sip of this water. Let's see. Great White Hype says ARKX on the daily and weekly. Gotcha, man. So this is Kathy with shitcoin. Surprised this thing's still doing its thing, but I don't know. I guess could be worse for all the shit that she gets. It's not terrible. I mean, shit, man. I've seen a lot of worse charts today. That's for sure. I was expecting something terrible here, but it's not. It's really not that bad. Now, do I think it's topping out here? Yeah, I do think it's topping out here. Look, I think it's topping out here. It's probably putting a top here, but comparatively to all the shit that she gets, it's not so bad. Look, any sort of a monthly close below 30 and a quarter is going to be looked at disastrously. So you got 8 days left to go, basically. Closing below there, I think you're going to see this thing descend long term into like the $25 region. But As it stands right now, I guess he's still got some time until the end of this, until the end of this month. But look, I feel like I'm just feeding you hopium right now. This is very likely a major top, or it's absolutely a major top. It might be a macro top is what I'm getting to. You're about to get a silver cross to the downside. I have to be biased towards further downside move to, 29 to $30. And if the monthly finishes anywhere below like 30 and 30 cents, let's say, it's topping out for a very long time, and you should be expecting like mid 20s, maybe lower over time, but at least mid 20s for like the next major low. Quarterly looking like this. I mean, that is certainly a top. Now, with the way that it's acted, this could be a swing high and then it comes back down into a swing low. But here's the problem. Your swing low could be as low as, I'm not saying it's going to go exactly this low, but it could come as low as like $20 and still be considered like a pretty strong higher low, actually. So keep in mind what kind of like the long term looks like here. If you're just going over the daily though, it's a downtrend. It's rolling over. Probably wants back down around here to like 29 bucks or so. Does it finish out the month below there? Or sorry, just anywhere below like 30 bucks, especially. Yeah, then I think you got a real problem, at least for the long term. Hold on, did I miss someone right there? No, I didn't. Okay, beautiful. All right, we got MG76067. He's looking at OXY. Okay, OXY, nice. Now I'm here at the bottom of the chat. Good. But daddy, I thought you, wait, what? What the fuck did he say? Let's see. Hold on, daily looks weird on this one. Really good buy up on the daily, to be fair. I know you didn't say a monthly, but I feel like I need to look at a monthly to get some context as to what this thing's doing. I actually am bullish. I'm actually biased towards upside here. I do think that you're going to continue this rally to the upside, another like 10% to 65 to 66 bucks, maybe a wick up all the way here to fulfill this trend line extension test, which would be somewhere around like 67 and a half. So let's just call it like a 10% move kind of from where you're at right now. Do I think it's going to be like a breakout move? No, at least not at first pass, but yeah, this is an uptrend. This is a short-term reversal. If it comes back down in the short term, I'd just be looking for higher lows at around 56 bucks. Probably tries to fulfill that upside target from there. Basically what I'm trying to say is I would be expecting a spike into this region right here and then probably a pullback from there too. I'm only bearish if this thing comes back down below the weekly 200 simple, which is $56 and closes there. Until then, your next move very likely a rip up here. Might take several weeks to play out. I do not think this is going to be a runaway breakout or anything like this, but should spike somewhere around this region, then come back down. Then we get to play the real game of, hey, is this going to put in another higher low or not? Because right now, you do have that monthly and quarterly higher low. So that is respectable. Long-term price action, certainly not respectable, unfortunately. But, for the short term, yeah, I'd be biased on that side right now. Whoops, just drawing some more damn lines. Some more damn lines. One moment. What's your national bank, the Fed? No, or yes, I don't know. Like, do I actually use the Fed? No, they're not actually a bank, so I guess not. Now, it's a funny thing about the Fed. They're not federal. They're not a bank. And I have a lot of questions as to what's going on there. It's actually literally, it's not federal. It's not a bank because you and I can't go there. Yeah, you and I can't go. Yeah, so it's not a fucking bank. Oh my God, it's all a lie. Yeah, man, crazy shit. Try explaining that shit. Anyways, Darkra is looking at VLO, daily weekly. Gosh, man, Valera, this is another gas corporation, right? Yeah, should be good. Yeah, man, and they don't have reserves. Well, to be fair, they can just create the reserves. They just add another zero to the fucking database, and yeah, there's your reserve. Anyways, VLO, overall really good, obviously, but I do think your rally is kind of coming into a local high here, and it's going to swing back down. Now, it's bullish, obviously, but I think it's time to give up a little bit of ground after a pretty epic rally. This thing has 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence on the daily. I think that you're coming back down to like 224, 225 region. It's not crazy moves. I think worst case scenario, you come down to like 207, but these are just higher low watches here. Overall, this thing is, still bullish, still good. It's just short term, probably local high. Yeah, don't really have much to add on to it other than that. Maybe we could look at a bi-monthly just to see, like, maybe there's another angle we can get on this thing. Yeah, overall good. Just short term, probably a little bit of a pullback, but I'll just be looking for higher lows. I think you still got new highs to go. How high, what would my next sort of major area of interest be to the upside? Actually, not a great way of doing this, or at least it's already hit the easy targets. So let's see what the hard targets be. Next big one would be 268. So yeah, if I had to call it, does 268 get hit? Probably, yeah. Probably next quarter. Let's see. DJ ZZ5TT says, can you look at Ethereum, please? My liquidation is 2350. I'm guessing you're in a short. Let's see. To be fair, Ethereum actually has been pound for pound a little bit more strong than Bitcoin in short term. So not really the one that you want to short, honestly. You want to short the weaker ones, not the stronger ones. But let's see. Let's go down to a daily. I imagine it's going to look like some kind of variation or fractal of Bitcoin's chart, but for whatever reason, it's not actually loading in here, which is very fucking annoying. So let's try this. There we go. All right, you say your liquidation is 2350. All right, now that we know his liquidation, fucking get him. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this trade, man. I actually don't think price is going to go to your liquidation. I do think it's going to get close. I think that you kind of just positioned poorly here. But I'm not here to fucking reprimand you. Look, do I think it's going to pop back up to like 2250 or try and move up there? Yeah, very possible. Very, very possible it does. Is that your liquidation? No. So I guess not that concerning, but do things generally, reject from there, come back down towards these like 1950 or $1,800 lows? Yeah, I think that overall you will have another run somewhere down around here at some point. But for right now, you do have to respect the short-term daily uptrend. You do have a few higher highs and a few higher lows. So my personal opinion is that you will try another upside move. It's not going to get exactly to your liquidation, but you're going to have to sit there and fucking take it like a man, I guess. My personal opinion is that it will come back down. This move is not going to be a breakout move to the upside that goes to 2,800 to 3,000. I think that will happen later on, but from here, a little bit more likely to fill out this area after rejection of the red 5 EMA and the bi-weekly, come back down to the 200 simple and just kind of play a range between these. It's probably going to benefit you, but I just wouldn't get super greedy with these things, man. Like trying to squeeze water from a rock. That's kind of how I look at the people who are shorting Bitcoin right now. It's like, yeah, it's bearish. I mean, it's downtrend. Yeah, I totally get that. It's just, I don't know. You got like 10%, 20% move to the bottom side of range. It's starting to get slimmer and slimmer margins here, unfortunately. Anyways, David Murphy says, is the euro dollar a decent short here? I think it was a decent short like a while ago, man. I'm still looking at this as, as very likely a macro top in the making, but is it a decent short right here? No, I think that you're going to bounce up a little bit more on this move. This one's having a really, really good reaction off of the most recent price action pivot. So I do think that this move will try a little bit higher, maybe somewhere around like 117 to 118 region. But do I think it's going to get rejected there and come back down and find its way down to like 110 or 109 or 108 or whatever? If we fast forward like a year from now, yeah, I do think so. It's just next move. I do think it's still, it's still rallying up here. I would not short it right here, man. Now, I don't know what your strategy is. I don't know how long you're looking to hold that. I don't know many, pieces of very vital information that would make me even, appropriately give some worthy analysis or like direct advice for you, but I can't do that anyway. So what I say here is like, I think it's generally going to go higher than where it's at right now. I just think that that's going to be your next lower high, and then it gets the real markdown. How much do you want to squeeze the lemons? Yeah, exactly, man. Pricey 9378 says, hi sir, Tesla versus the dollar. We can just look at, you don't need to do versus the dollar, man. It's a real stock, but all good, man. As always, full disclosure, I do own this one, but I will be selling because the weekly did close below my pivot. So I'll take profit on that position. Anyways, you're on the weekly or weekly plus, huh? Look, I don't like the way the quarterly looks here, man. I really don't. Just shooting you fucking super, super straight. If the quarterly closes anywhere below 382, which it's below right now, at the end of this month, this thing's coming down a lot more. It's coming down a lot more. You're probably going to see very low 300s, like 315 to 320, maybe even a little bit lower than that. Obviously, 8 days, a lot of things can happen, but if you see it below that number, I just don't think that there's any real excuse for it. And personally, I'll tell you what I did. I sold my position based off of last Friday's closure. Look, if it reverses here and I end up regretting it, okay, fair enough. You know, that's part of the game. But I stick to my own rules, and my own rules say, hey, I don't want it right now. I'm biased towards this thing coming lower, and the quarterly can be very problematic if it does end, like I said, below 382. I mean, even the bi-monthly here, you know, a couple drops of bearish divergence, like should be looking for this thing to come down to low 300s. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on this one, man. One moment while I take a sip of this water. Okay, cool. We're still good on time. We'll need to end this, I don't know, maybe a little bit earlier, I suppose, but yeah, all good. Space Nerd says, and it's 2 years of being institutionalized, so FA are paying attention to that. What's FA? I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Hey, what's up, Arib? Good evening from Dole, London. Dole, London? Well, better than problematic London, I guess. All good, man. I wonder if it's hot there too, man. It seems like it's hot fucking everywhere right now. Let's see. Bitcoin inverse chart for the memes. We can look at it. Then there's a really good question underneath that from Playdead. But let me just look at this just to see if you turn the chart around, kind of can help get rid of some of those biases. Yeah, you know, when you look at this chart here, obviously Bitcoin's in a weekly uptrend. Kind of have to be biased towards this thing, you know, at some point coming back around here, you know, that low 60 base. But like I said, man, my rule, I don't like to get too aggressive when you're going against the 200 simple there. So I'm always going to say, hey, good value area long term. Other than that, not really getting anything super unique from this chart. If anything, you know, going off of this one long term, like if there ever was a place to short this chart, which this is the inverted chart, around that 200 simple is a fucking good do. Yeah, I can live above there for a little bit of time, but historically it ain't long. It ain't long, and that is a beautiful, beautiful place long term. So yeah. Oh, financial advisors. Yeah, fair enough. I was going to say something bad. Are you permanently bullish on SPY? I understand you see a dip to 6,200, but that's like 10%. What if I'm not permanently bullish, do I have to be looking for like zero? Look, I'll show you the long-term chart, man. It's very simple. Am I permanently bullish on something that looks like this? Okay. Let's flip it around. Yeah, I am. This thing's been around for longer than anyone here has been alive. Since fucking 1872. Since 1870 fucking 2. Am I bearish on this? And keep in mind, this is 1872. It wasn't until about almost 100 years later where the US dollar became the world reserve currency. And it was still in an uptrend pretty much the whole way through as well. Do I think that there can be greater corrections? Obviously, I mean, of course that's possible. Of course that's possible. But it's not going to be my main disposition as long as the chart looks like it's not even a fucking monthly downtrend right now, man. It's not even a monthly, like, let's be real. Like, you got to respect the trend. You got to respect the trend. To be fair, there's not even, I mean, well, actually, yes, there is some monthly bearish divergence. So there is that. There is that. Yeah, but, you know, it's still a massive uptrend, man. Am I a permanent bull on it? No, you could definitely make me be bearish. Do I think you can get bigger pullbacks here? Yeah, but historically, perma bears have only lost money on this thing. It's just, it's not the right way to be looking. It's like you see a line that's going straight up and you just think, oh, I can short it here. It's like, okay, great. Good fucking luck, man. Good fucking luck. Sorry. Okay. I really skipped over like a really, really cool question. Playdead09 says, I have the HPRO and HPRV. What the heck is the blue vertical bars indicate? I'm guessing you're talking about these. Man, I haven't brought the HPDR on in a while. It's like my favorite fucking thing, man. Let's go over to it. So I'm guessing you're talking about this, like these bars. If it's these bars right here that my cursor is currently tracing, it's just telling you that that you are on an extreme read. So if it's blue, it's extremely low, and you can plot it, you know, as you see fit as well. You can set it to, you know, like the extreme low I have is like less than 2 right now, and extreme high is greater than 98. You can flip it around however you want, but for me, very, 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 very low is when I want to be alerted about it. And of course, very, 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 very high, like you see over here on the reds, it's just telling you it's an extreme read. That's all, man. That's all. Yeah. Oh, that's actually the BBWP, but sorry, it does operate the same on HPDRO. HPDRO, however, I should add, is a little bit different. Okay, completely fucking boof that up because God, lack of sleep not doing me well today. When it does fire off that blue background signal, it's just at the 0 read. So you can see right here, the oscillator itself is crossing the 0 read. These bars, yeah, these bars. So with the HPDRV, it operates in the exact same way that I just outlined here for the BBWP. For the HPDRO, it's different because it goes positive and negative, whereas HPDRV is just 0 to 100. So this one, HPDRO, goes positive, above 0, negative below 0, and when it's at 0 or crossing over 0, it tells you with that blue vertical bar, and it's telling you about a potential shift in momentum, because when that oscillator crosses over the 0 line, technically there could be a new momentum regime emerging. So that's what that is its purpose for the HPDRO. But the HPDRV, like I said, a little bit different. 0 to 100 just tells you when you're at extreme lows or extreme highs. Anyways, one moment. Great Right Hype says, never figured out how to get the 38.2 setting. Are you talking about for the HPDR bands? Oh, it's actually very simple. I showed this in the tutorial section as well, but just go to the settings right here and you scroll down to the HPDR bands level. I put mine at level 1 for the 38.2, and I just basically use most of the Fibonacci numbers. So yeah. Do you think retail traders overfit indicators like RSI, EMA to past data? I mean, you can't, you're not going to over okay. Yes and no, and no and yes. Can you overfit the RSI? I mean, how are you going to overfit the RSI? Like, just so that when it's high, it means sell, and when it's low, it means buy. I guess you could do that. I don't even know if it's possible to do that, to be honest with you. Usually when people are overfitting things, they're overfitting it within the context of literally constructing a new indicator at the base level, or they are overfitting it by applying those tools, but in a system that is hyper specific to past price. Sorry, my brain's kind of breaking there. Excuse me. Also, fucking caffeine coming up too. So what's your, here's the real question, and here's where hopefully I can actually help. What's your framework to avoid curve fitting while still maintaining a repeatable system? Don't get hyper specific. That's where people fall into the weeds. And I've done this myself. I've seen many other people do it as well, where you start to, you'll have your strategy backtester in the background, something like this, right? Something like this. And you'll start to play around with the settings of your indicator or indicators, and you are playing with it by like spot one. You're changing it up, down, and then you're looking at your total P&L and you're trying to just maximize the exact amount out of that. When you start to get hyper specific like that, it's probably overfitted. The best way to do it is to do something called future forwards walk. I almost called it futures walk. It's forwards walk, where basically you take segments of past price action and you optimize for those, and then you build upon those, and then you have all these segments at the very end related to those different time periods, and then you take the averages of those settings that are hyper specific for all of those segments, and then you typically get sort of like the running thread. But even then, like a general rule of thumb is when you start to get in the weeds with things, when you start to, just adjust your, your indicator value or whatever value you're looking at by like very small increments, and then you see big shifts in your P&L, that then get reverted when you make another very small shift on that indicator value, you're probably overfitting. That's like a really, 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 really good rule of thumb. You should go through the process of forwards testing or forwards walk. But if you just apply that, like, you're going to avoid most of it anyways. Your settings should be somewhat generic in a way. Like, that's kind of the weird thing that I've come to. When I first started algorithmic trading, it was really, really simple. Then I started to do exactly what I'm telling you. I started to make these like really complicated strategies, and I would be really in the weeds with like picking very specific settings for very specific things. And then I realized, okay, this can work, but it requires a lot of upkeep. And actually, the more simple way is probably the better way of doing things, because it doesn't require as much upkeep. Thus, you don't need to be constantly watching, basically. So yeah. Let's see. Adam Colleen says, do you look at TA the same in uncertain times with current war oil blockade that can have long-term effects? Looking for long-term buys in VTI and VOO. It depends what you're looking at. Of course, like if you're trading oil, then TA is only going to get you so far. Why? You can trust in some things, which are actually more so psychological indicators like extreme volume and extreme volatility. These things happen when people are feeling a certain type of way. But in terms of like general TA, when these things come very, very political, and it really only takes like one Trump tweet to fuck things up, then yeah, of course, technical analysis just can't be trusted as much. That is one of the reasons why I don't like oil personally, because you got all these nations that know exactly how to manipulate price by saying certain things or colluding in certain ways. And so your edge as a technical analyst is very much diminished. It's an insider's game. It's an insider's game, and it just is what it is, man. I don't fucking like it, so I don't play it. That's why I prefer, things like commodities, like Bitcoin, because there's less of those, external forces acting upon it. And generally when that happens, technicals are the way that these things are priced. Now, not always, it's never going to always be perfect. And of course, when a black swan event happens, it's going to affect everything, and your TA is not going to fucking matter. But that is why we actually still need TA, because the TA tells you when your analysis actually falls apart. That's the invalidation. That is such an integral part of the TA to begin with. So it is just as important to know when your shit is falling apart as to when it is also working too, because you can identify when those situations are happening that are outside of your strategy's competency, and you should just take the loss and get out of the trade, at that point. So I'd say you never really get around not using it, but there are certainly assets that do play more technically than others, and I generally think it comes down to those reasons. So yeah. Anyways. Part Trump says Bitcoin low-term time frame making a stab at the Rev and Ribbons midband. Let's check it out. Yeah, it's right. It's very, very close there. Wait, what the fuck? It just shifted up. What? Hey, hold on. Oh my God, that is so strange. Did you see that? It changed on me. It's a miracle. I swear, I just zoomed in and it zoomed up to the upside. Then when I zoomed out, it got back to normal. This absolutely is the normal look right here. Whatever just happened, that must have been a trading view fart. Yeah, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. But again, it really depends upon where Bitcoin closed today. There's going to be a chance, for sure. There's going to be a chance, but long day left to go. Very long day left to go. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Crypto Carpenter? Yeah, man. Good to see you as well, brother. Great White Hype says GCAD. Oh, whoops. Actually, I don't want to look at this on the Rev and Ribbons, although it probably does work there. Just, I think that's a little more specific to Bitcoin. GCAD. Okay. New one for me. Looks like it's a defense ETF, right? This one looking to me like a top, man. This one's looking like a top. You got many drives of bearish divergence come off this high. You've already hit the easy retracement target at the 21. So maybe a short-term bounce followed by some downside. Yeah, wouldn't take too much to get this thing to bounce back up towards like 52, maybe 52 and a half. But do I think that you're going to find this thing down around like 46, 47? Yeah. Monthly's kind of ugly here, selling off to the end of the month like this. Again, there's still another little bit over a week, so things can happen. But I think that this is going to be a top for a while, and you do come down to like a mid 40 number. So short term, like short term, yeah, maybe a bounce attempt here, but I wouldn't get sucked up into it personally. I'm not that optimistic for a lot of these things that we've seen today in the short term. A lot of them are looking for short-term bounces, but I just don't think that those bounces are going to materialize. It's more long-term where these things, could see the magic happen once again. Anyways, Yarbrook says, yeah, my TA shows strength and weaknesses. If a black swan happens, you already have invalidation levels and can identify support and resistance. Catalysts may move price, but the probabilities are there. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Exactly. That's really the power and the value of even having a very, simple understanding of technical analysis. Like, just to know when you're wrong is so fucking powerful. Like, cut off the losses there. It's only going to get worse. Like, reducing your losses, always good. Lil Baller says, Krown, which comes first, the candles or the world events? Like the events happen according to what the market shows, or is it just imagination? I mean, it's always going to come down to price, which is represented by the candles. Why? Because world events can be interpreted significantly differently by different people, right? Like we could both witness the exact same event and have wildly different takes on it, and we'd have wildly different actions that we take based upon it as well. Thus, that is subjective. Thus, there is no predictive capability in those, or at least if there is predictive capability, it's so fucking small and too erratic, and we massively overestimate our own ability to accurately analyze that anyway. So I would say, why the fuck would I be paying attention to that when a number is a number? 500 is 500, but an event is subjective in the very nature of it. I mean, shit, man. Like, look at the fucking news around the world today. Like, I had such an enlightening experience last weekend. I told this story before, but I'll tell it again because I thought it was. I really do think that this is like so interesting right now. It's sad. It's really fucking sad, but it's also very interesting. And I see it still, all the time, anyways. And when you go on Twitter, when you go on YouTube, on like these sort of political channels, whether they are for the West or against the West, it doesn't matter. There are people in all sorts of different camps that are so certain. They're so fucking certain that their view of the world is correct. And for me, it's hilarious because there is zero fucking way that all these people can be right. But more importantly, zero fucking way that these people could ever possibly know, because they don't have full information, and they can't have full information because we are all just little fucking plebs who barely get crumbs when it comes to the information. And the information that we do get is mostly propaganda that we have to filter through. And it comes from both sides, which also I find so fucking hilarious. And it makes me very sad when I see this in the Discord, by the way, as well. Like, for the people who do it, seriously rethink your life. But I totally get when people from the West have like this epiphany, typically in their mid-20s, that, oh, my government sometimes lies to me and sends out propaganda. Okay, I shouldn't believe anything that they say. All right, fair enough. That's fine. It is propaganda for sure. Some of it isn't true. Maybe even most of it isn't true. Who the fuck knows? But then those people will go over to the other side and slurp up the fucking enemies, their real enemies' propaganda, and repeat that as if it is 100% true. And the reason why they do this is because they are simple-minded, dumb fucks. And I'll explain why. Because many people who are simple-minded cannot differentiate between black and white thinking. They think that one side has to be completely good and the other side has to be completely evil. And they are completely not capable of understanding that there are areas of, there are shades of gray in between that. And you can't possibly know for sure because, one, if we fast forward, 10 to 100 years from now, like, your interpretation of such things is going to change wildly. Yeah, exactly. I believe everything the other guy says now. And two, again, we don't have perfect information. Like, we're being fed propaganda. And then even then, it's the people in the intelligence agencies that probably have like a pretty good idea of what's going on, but they are not incentivized to tell even their own people what's going on. Why? Because why would you fucking disseminate that information and let your enemies know that you have it? Like, people just don't fucking think past like the first fucking sentence of these things. It drives me wild. It drives me fucking wild. Anyways, I'm the new Alex Jones. Fuck yeah, man. Look, it's the same thing with all these podcasters too, man. Like, do I think Tucker Carlson has any real insights? No, of course not. This guy is just repeating bullshit. Same thing with Megyn Kelly. Same thing with Candace Owens and all these people and all the people from the other side too, man. They're all just repeating dumb shit that they know people love because people love to be entertained, and they make it very entertaining. But do they have any real insights? No, of course not. Of course not. They can't have any real insights. Otherwise, they'd actually be in these, in these agencies, and they wouldn't be able to talk about it to begin with. I mean, it's like, people don't think about things from a strategic sense. Look, I've done many tours. I've done many tours in Call of Duty, okay? I've done 5 full tours in Call of Duty, and I played many strategy games as well. And I can tell you, it's actually a lot of value in these strategy games because it does teach you how to think strategically, and you start to see the world through a little bit of a different lens. Now, I'm not saying my worldview is perfect, but at least I fucking understand. I don't know shit because I don't have perfect information. I probably don't even have like 30% of the information. Probably don't even have 30% of that. It's basically impossible to get, especially with all the fucking slop online too. The Socratic method got me in a lot of trouble when I was young. Yeah, it got him killed. I mean, hey man, don't forget, it got him fucking killed. Let's see. Flynn Sizemore says, can you scope Tron? Oh yeah, Tron again, huh? First shitcoin of the day. Oh, no. We looked at Hype earlier, but actually both these two would not be necessarily considered shitcoins right now. Okay, so I believe last we looked at it was last Friday or maybe last Wednesday when we spoke last, and I said probably going to spike this high over here at 32 cents. We've gotten that. It got that yesterday, actually. So pulling back from that is expected. It's not bad, but I do think you have some short-term downside. Again, not necessarily bad, but a little bit of short-term downside, maybe back down to like 30 cents even. Probably tries to bounce there and then trade sideways for a while. Basically, what you have here is a range emerging. The range highs is the price action pivot here at 32. The range lows are, basically here at about 27 cents. You just reject the range highs, you're probably going to come back down to the middle at least. So a little bit below 30. I think you got a short-term bounce maybe at 30 cents. Probably fails, comes down to like, 29 and a quarter. Probably tries another bounce. If that one fails, and you probably come all the way down to the low side of the range. Is it bearish if it does that? Actually, no. And it's actually still okay here. So I think it might very well be you come down to like 29 and a quarter, and then try your real upside move maybe in like April, if that's going to happen. Not terrible. Yeah, certainly not. I mean, honestly, among the crypto shitcoins, like one of the better charts. Short term though, it is downside. Like, don't mishear me. I do think that you have some downside here in the short term. It's not necessarily bearish. Let's see. Great by Hype is looking at, or he says, trust SATA, Strives, STRC credit tool. Okay, this one's new to me. I don't know anything about it. I actually got out of all of my Bitcoin bond offerings from MicroStrategy. I was just playing the dividend date. But this thing I am not in. I actually didn't even know existed before this moment. I don't know what to make of this, man. I don't know what to make of this. It doesn't play technically. It plays very bizarrely. If anything, it's somewhat new as well. Less than 6 months of history here. So I don't know, man. I'm guessing this is just like an income dividend play, in which case my sort of disposition there is exactly what I just did. I get in a couple days before the dividend, before the dividend date, and then I sell after the after that dividend date is recorded. That's how I do these things. I don't like to hold them for super long or anything like that, because they're not producing for you super long, and if anything, you might experience a little bit of capital loss. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, this thing does kind of keep a tight range. I'm guessing it's another like Bitcoin bond type offering. Close you get to $100, the more and more likely you're just going to pop down and probably lose a little bit of that capital. So yeah, I'd probably wait till you're closer to that date. But again, do whatever you want to do, man. Well, the thing is, Crypto Ninja, is that journalists can't speak like that, because most journalists are just putting spin on shit. Because again, it's like the news isn't there to really inform you. It's there to entertain you and confirm your already previously held beliefs. I think that's really what they're there for. And a little bit of propaganda too, obviously, as well. Like that is the spin part of it, right? And everything's spin. We're all coming from at least some frame of reference. So, spin is inextricable from journalism or news. But I mean, nowadays, like, it really is intertwined. It's really intertwined. It's like, look, if I'm going to read the New York Times, I know I'm getting whatever the lefty spin is. If I'm going to read the New York Post, I'm definitely going to get the righty spin on it. That's just how it works. Where's the truth? Probably not even somewhere in the middle. It would be two Venn diagrams with two circles, and then there's no overlap in the middle, and it's somewhere there. That's probably where it is. Yeah, on this chart, man, I have to say a healthy amount of I don't know. I can just tell you the way that I play dividend stocks myself, and that's what I'd do here most likely. If I saw this thing come down below like 90, I'd probably buy it, for a little bit of capital play. But even that, it's not really meant for that. I'm guessing it's meant to just stay steady. Something similar to like SRTC, right? SATA has an X date in between STRC. Really? Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, I see. So SATA's dividend date is not at like the usual dividend date. That's very interesting. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Well, I guess you can jump between the two. It's probably what creates this price action right here. So yeah, man. Yeah, media has definitely become much different with the advent of social media and the internet. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I think it is bad though overall, because this is something I've thought about a lot recently, maybe, and this might be like a totally half-baked idea, and I might really regret saying this in the future. Very, very possible. But I do think that, especially after studying previous empires, what makes empires great, what makes a country great, what makes a country very strong is unity of not identity, but unity of thought. No, that's not the right word. Unity of values. That's what makes strong countries very, very strong. When you have unity of values, that is very important. And you get unity of values by ingesting the same propaganda slop. I think at that point, you just have to kind of choose sides, you know? And unfortunately, you kind of do have to choose sides as well. That's also something that I've come to learn recently. I used to be of the opinion that, oh, who gives a fuck, you know, what all these people are doing, these governments, I don't fucking know them. They, you know, it doesn't affect me. But it actually does. When you read history, you realize we're pretty lucky to experience even the, you know, freedom that we have here, which, look, it's certainly better than most other places in history. I mean, pretty much any other place in history, but is it perfectly free? No, it's not. Obviously, it's not. Like, it's very far away from that. But at the same time, if I had to choose between, you know, living here or living in, I don't know, Syria, where am I going to live? It should be fucking obvious. It should be fucking obvious. So yeah, man, it's like people have these idealistic views, especially, you know, people in their 20s. That's when you're supposed to have those idealistic views. But at the end of the day, man, it really is not realistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting older and jaded. Possible, for sure. Definitely possible. A house divided cannot stand. Yeah, 100%, man. Like, so that's why, like, I don't know, man. If America wanted to go towards like a fully Christian society, something like that. Look, I'm not Christian, but I'd kind of be on board for that, because it's like you need that unity. You need that unity of values and that sort of story that you tell yourself. Like, the stories nowadays are breaking down. You know, there's people will tell stories making fucking Winston Churchill to be the bad guy in World War II and Hitler was, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unfucking believable. But that's the problem when you don't have that unity of values, and that honestly does come from the information that you ingest. The only reason why you and I might have different views is because we just have different informational sources. That's really it. That's really it. It's not because one of us has the truth and the other one doesn't. We both don't have the full truth. That's for sure. That's for fucking sure. Krown's an atheist. I'm actually not an atheist. I do think that there is. Look, I've taken a lot of shrooms and a lot of acid, so I know that there's something out there. I don't know if it's a fucking man hanging out in a giant chair with a big white beard in the sky, but there's something. You want to look at Tesla? We already looked at Tesla, man. I think Tesla's coming down overall. I think Tesla's coming down overall. Might be a short-term bounce, but long-term, I think that you're going to see a low 300s, man. I'm from the UK. We fucked the world. Sir, I got to tell you, man, a lot of the world owes so much of the amazing things that they have to the UK. I would totally take the other side of that. But again, we're just coming from different pieces of information. I mean, shit. Great example right there. Like, I would argue, God damn, man, the UK has done, the UK was the UK ended slavery. Like, slavery has been the way of the world for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. The UK is the first real major power that actually objected to it. I mean, fuck, man, like that is a fact. Like, got to give him credit for that. Got to give him credit for that, man. Yeah, and Genghis Khan, like some people think Genghis Khan is amazing because he created the Silk Road, which was an amazing thing. He also fucking totally destroyed many cities and took absolutely no prisoners. Depends who you ask, man. History is littered with these very, very strong leaders, and they might have been, or they probably were very controversial during the times, but when you look at it through the lens of history, you'll notice that some of the best American presidents were not popular at the time. Polk was not popular at the time. Did a lot of things. Did a lot of things that put America in a great position. Not popular at the time. Kind of crazy, man. We probably the UK definitely did not start slavery, my man. I really have to correct this view. The UK was not even around. It wasn't even a thing when slavery started, man. Like, it wasn't even a country when slavery started. It really wasn't. I gotta say that though, man. I gotta say that like that cannot be true. The UK was not even on the. It wasn't even a name on the map before slavery. I mean, shit, man. Like you had fucking Rome. You know, the Romans. Have you heard of them? But even well before that, well before recorded history, you know, people were doing slaves and whatnot, and there's still slavery today too. Eric, would your indicators have helped me on a Tesla trade? It depends what you're trying to do, man. First you have to define what you're trying to do. What sort of move are you trying to capture? Then we apply the indicators, not the other way around. That's where you get into trouble. That's where you get into a lot of trouble. See how this gold bounce is going. Pretty epic gold bounce. I do want to call attention to the volume spike on this gold bounce. It's almost the second biggest one, except for the high right here and then the turnaround. So that does matter. This should be a low for a while. It should be a low for a while. It should spend the next, decent move trying some upside. I still think that is likely topped for the macro, for a long time, for many years. But next move should be to the upside, and it could easily get up to 47, maybe even 4,800. Very possible. Very, very possible. Came from Africa. Humans came from Africa, and like I said, slavery has been around since the dawn of time. So kind of probably did come from Africa, to be fair. So fair enough. Employee is a slave? No. Very much different things, man. Sorry. I don't buy that for a fucking second, man. If you're an employee calling yourself a slave, I think any real slave would change places with you in a fucking heartbeat. At least as an employee, you have agency. You have agency. You can choose your employer. And you also, if you live in the Western world, or at least some of the Western countries at this point, you do have upwards mobility if you really do, focus on creating a skill and then selling that skill, I guess. Slavery was the first equal opportunity employment. Yeah, start of DEI, right? Kidding. Marty, yes, slavery brand. No, I disagree with that strongly, man. I disagree with that strongly. But yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. People with such ignorance speak with such confidence. Yeah, I mean, the older that I get, the more and more I realize, like, we don't know shit. I don't know shit. Even when it comes to trading, something that I've been spending basically my whole life studying ever since I really got into it. I mean, shit, man, my dad was taking me down to the floor of the exchange when I was 11. It's like, the longer that you trade, the more and more that you realize that the fundamentals of analysis, which comes down to trend analysis, is absolutely the most important thing. It might even, it's not the only thing, but it's absolutely the most important thing. And then everything else, like, you can't actually predict a move. You'll never know. You'll never know. You can have probabilities, but you'll never know. Crazy things happen, weird things happen. You see fucking oil go to $0 to negative numbers. Like, the longer you live, the more and more you realize that there are so many different potential avenues and roads that things can take. It's impossible to have 100% certainty about anything. Spanish figured out the fiat money printer hack. Did they really? What's the saying? The older you get, the more you realize you don't know. Yeah, something like that, man. I can definitely attest to that. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, something like that, man. Something like that. Spanish went to Africa, and the currency they used was beads. Spanish went back and manufactured the beads for next to nothing and went back to purchase slaves. Fair enough. I mean, it is what it is, man. Instead of them choosing us, we choose our masters. Yeah, I guess. In a way. I mean, it takes two to tango, It takes two to tango at this point, but I don't know how much, like, the average worker is going to be worth once AI and robotics really gets going. It's still a little bit further away, but it's coming. I mean, whether it's next year or whether it's in 20 years, it's coming. It's a coming. It's a coming. Older the berry, the sweeter the juice. Something like that, man. Something like that. All right, I think I probably read through all of these comments by now. I'm not really seeing any more chart requests. Krown, can you start a weekly political stream? Hell no, man. Maybe I talk about that shit on gaming streams, but even then, man, it's like, the world does not need another ignorant podcaster letting them know their opinions on the political system. Fuck, man, I barely even know how our own political system works, to be honest with you. Like, barely. It's so fucking complicated. It's a lot of it's complicated. A lot of it doesn't make sense to me. And honestly, I don't got time for that anyways. I'm busy doing my own shit. AI is going to wipe out a lot of jobs. Yeah, it'll wipe out a lot of jobs. Probably also going to create a lot of jobs too. I mean, typically how those things go, but it can take some time for that to play out. And I don't know, man, probably a lot of pain in the short term, I suppose, but we shall see. Space Nectar says TTWO. This is Take Two, I believe. Take Two. By the way, does anyone here play Arma or Hell Let Loose? And how are they? Like, is there actually a player base for them? Don't like what it's doing, man. You might have a bounce in the short term, but long term, I wouldn't be considering this thing to having put in a low until you're back down around about 180. So that's another 10% move from where you're at right now. But yeah, we can look at Lunar. Yeah, last I saw, Lunar was actually going up big time Lunar. Let's see, has it already given up that rally? No, it's gone even more. Yeah, 20.5 bucks. I still own my Lunar. Look, I told you exactly what I was doing with Lunar. It's just one line in the sand. There is the beauty of technical analysis right there in the most simplest of simplest ways. Again, just alluding to the previous conversation. It's like, honestly, some of the simplest tools really might not be perfect, might not be optimal, but it's fine. Look, as long as it's above $15, I hold my long position from single digits. I'm still holding, man. Do I think it's going to spike these highs again at 23? Probably, yeah. Does it have enough juice to break out? This one could. We do have some setups here. The weekly volatility is coming off extreme lows, so it has reset. This would be a, kind of like a bastardized cup and handle, I guess. Weekly RSI, very healthy in the low 60s, approaching the top side of the range again. Krown also is turning up freshly here too. Yeah, I think that this move could lead to the real breakout. Does it happen in March? Does it happen in April? Probably April. But, once it starts to break those highs from January at 23 and a third, you're probably looking at 35, 40 bucks, something like that, man. It's good. It's good. And again, my line in the sand mine validation is just this low here at 15 bucks. As long as it's above there, I'm just going to hold long. That's fine. Bitcoin against gold. Do you see a sweep of the lows from 2022? I actually think, without even looking at it, I think that that's pretty possible. I did call a macro low here. Do I think that it might come back down around this low? Maybe not exactly to the low, but I do think that it's possible to come back down close to that low. Maybe like a 13.5 to 12.5 read. I'll put in like a little circle right here. I mean, because this kind of is, I literally marked off this area right here. This kind of is where you'd be expecting a little bit of a pullback on this current rally. Again, it's a complicated picture here because long term, I think that you've more or less seen the lows. Like that should be it. If this thing is, truly going to be good long term, which I think it probably is. Short term, probably very, very, very close to the high of this rally, if not high of the rally is already in. Medium term, probably pulls back, puts in a higher low, then tries the real upside move. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that I think just Bitcoin's going to be a better investment than gold. If we fast forward about a year and a half to 2 years from now, I think this ratio will be higher rather than lower. Dan Robinson says, hey Krown, options question. Beautiful. I love options. When selling an option spread and you get a big move in your direction, if you sold an option spread and you get a big move in your direction, that means it's going against you and you have achieved 80 to 90% of your maximum profit. Will you close it and move on to the next trade? Yeah. Fuck yeah. Do that. Yes. If this is one of those things like, my friend is doing this, let me stop you right there. I can tell you exactly what I'd do. Fucking close it. Look, you are squeezing water from a rock at that point. You've already gotten 80 to 90% of your theta. Take that money, run away, wait for the next opportunity because you've already milked that trade beautifully. The last 10 to 20%, fuck it. Who cares? That is the low probability. You might even be in trouble if that big directional move really has real momentum behind it. Don't let that good money turn into bad money. Don't do that, man. Don't fucking do that. How'd you play Circle? Well, right now I'm patiently waiting for it to come down, which might be the wrong thing to be doing. I've been saying the same thing for 3 weeks straight, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't think this rally is going to run away significantly to the upside. I'm waiting for a pullback. I want to see a pullback between $60 and $80. That's where I want to buy. I think it's probably topped out here. I said the same thing last week and the week before that. So, and it's been wrong for the past few weeks, made new highs for the past few weeks. I still really don't think that this is a runaway rally. Do you think that it will come back down at least to like 100? But I hope it comes. Please come back down. Look, I might very well be wrong on this one, man. And I would just take it like a man. I'd bend over, pull down my pants, and take it like a man. That's what I'd do there. But yeah. Do I think it's going to come back down? Yes. Do I want it to come back down? Am I talking my book? Yes. But I also do think that I just don't want to buy here, man. I just don't want to buy here. It is what it is, man. All right, cool. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it right there. What about RCAT? Calls 3 week out? No. Whoa. First off, buying premium is for fucking morons. Okay, not always, but if you're just buying make a premium, it's for fucking morons. You are destined to lose long-term doing that. 3 weeks out, buying premium, really fucking dumb idea. Why? Because your premium's going to collapse. You're better off just buying the underlying stock if you want to have long deltas. Just buy the underlying stock. Holy fuck. If you're bullish, buy the underlying stock. Don't buy calls. It's the worst way to do it. It's the worst way to do it. Literally, the probabilities are stacked against you. 70% of all options expire worthless. Of the ones that do expire with some sort of intrinsic value, it's very well likely if you did that as a naked buy and you didn't time like the 1 out of a million chance really where these things can explode, because it does happen, you will probably still end up with either a break even or a loss because you still need to make up for the actual premium that you paid for it. Why would you pay a premium for that stock 3 weeks out, which is, I mean, it's not that, it's not that close to expiration, I guess, but if you're bullish, just buy the underlying and have a stop loss below the most recent low, okay? It's that simple, man. All right, last one for Mr. Kalain. He's looking at VTI. It's basically just a total stock market. So it's not even SPX. This is like SPX 1 million. It has everything. I got to say the same thing here as I do on SPY. I'm very much open to a potential reversal and this being the low, but it absolutely must prove itself. And the only way to do that in my eyes is to trade and close back above last week's high of 332 and 32 cents. Very easy number to remember, but yeah. Above there, I'd call it reversal and instant bullish back up to the highs and probably beyond. Until then, technically it's a downtrend. Technically should be looking for it to hang a little bit lower. I guess next step down, if it does break the lows, would be about 306 to 310 region. Come back to it after that, but yeah. Yeah, cool. All right, sweet. I think we are done for the day. I need to get off to do the old errands now. So we'll call it right there. I want to say a massive thank you for joining in. Some fun conversations today, some good political conversations as well. It's always fun, I guess. Yeah. Ignatius Garcia wants to see my total P&L. Yeah, let me just show you my bank account, bro. Fucking great idea. Like, do people think about that for a fucking second? Like, let me just show you what's in my wallet, bro. Look, I've shown my options positions. That's as far as I'll go. That's as far as I go. Okay. Here's my maximum profit coming in for this position that I took this month. $19,000 plus this short put spread over here. That one closed at the end of this week, which is another 39,000 or so. Look, man, do you expect me to show you what's in my fucking wallet? Like, are you crazy? Are you fucking crazy? Would you show me what's in your wallet? Like, god damn, man. Anyways, we'll sign off on that note. Wishing everyone the best as always.